So here we are in Zimbabwe, buying our oil from Iraq and Russia, thousands of miles away from here. But right across the Zambezi, there's oil. The same budget you are using for shipping oil from there. As government, why not walk across there and develop that refinery and then pump through Zambia or through Kasongula, one pipe on the Zambezi River. Angola is here, Zambia is here, Namibia is here, Botswana is here, Zimbabwe is here. Build a city, a new city, right there, and service each other. So look at 5 countries right now sitting on a table and say, you have oil, let's support you. Congo, you have maize and agricultural space, let's support you. Botswana, you have diamonds and jewelry, let's support you. You know, Zimbabwe, you have this. It is this strategic conversation that, and the weakest link on African unity are our presidents. Because apparently when we become united, they'll lose power. So all of them are holding on to their seats. They don't want this thing to happen. Because some of them even claimed national budgets as their family businesses.
Hey there and welcome to Fanya Mambo Africa. Super excited to host one of the most famous Africans. I think I like calling him Pan-Africanist or Africanist, but I think he calls himself a social maverick and sometimes bishop.
Oh, well, yeah.
Joshua Maponga.
Yeah.
Karibu sana.
I dropped Joshua for Mara-rah.
Oh.
Mara-rah, which means rubbish. Yeah. That was my grandfather's
So
name.
your full name now is?
Mara-rah Maponga, Changambire.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to drop the name Joshua?
I didn't drop it, I put it in the back foot as I am moving into more cultural space. Mara-rah means rubbish, which means the leaves that are falling from the tree, the manure for the next generation.
So you want to be called Rubbish Maponga?
Not rubbish Maponga, manure Maponga.
Manure Maponga.
So take my rubbish and plant your seeds, you will harvest.
Oh, interesting. Karibu sana Kenya.
Mauya muno Mkenya tinotenda. Magadini.
Explain what you said for me and the fellow viewers.
I'm greeting you in my ancestral way.
I'm supposed to respond like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Women go like this and men go like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's a welcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Kenya, we just shake hands. Karibu sana.
Yeah, not true. In Kenya, we shake hands, we go up and then we go.
Oh, those are big. Anyway, it's good to have you around.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Asante sana.
How are you finding it in Kenya? Your state?
Kenya, Kirinyaga.
Kirinyaga.
It's beautiful energy for me.
Yeah.
It's always blesses me. I come here. Our forefathers were somewhere in the Serengeti here, in Tanganyika, in the Rift Valley. So every time we're down south, we always pray, looking towards Kirinyaga.
Oh, even there you preface. Oh,
yes,
wow.
This is our land of origin.
Ah.
I mean, maybe when you guys are saying Kenya is the cradle of mankind, maybe you don't understand what that means.
What does it mean to you?
No, this is our cradle. We all started from the Rift Valley here. Embo, Wambui, and the Wanjiru are the great 3 women who give birth to the Ethiopians, the Sudanese, and the southern nations. You must go and find your own history in Mount Kirinyaga there. Yeah. You did not know Wambui?
Wambui is actually my name.
Oh.
That's such an interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you sit with the elders and ask them, why did they call you Wambui?
Okay.
And why did they call the other one Wanjiru? And why did they call the other one Embo? So Embo is the mother of the southern, then Wanjiru and Wambui, the Ethiopians, and the sharp-nosed, and the rest of Africa. So the 3 women. So it's a whole mystical story, a myth story around Kirinyaga, which explains the genesis of the 3 women who birthed, the nations of Africa.
Very interesting. It will be very interesting for Kenyans when you mention Mount Kenya, because politically it's a very charged area.
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid Mount Kenya concept because we're still playing into the colonial space. Let's call it Kirinyaga.
Kirinyaga. All right. How is your home country?
Zimbabwe.
Yes.
Zimbabwe is, well, we're in the south. We've just come out of a very difficult 20 years plus of sanctions with with America and the rest of Europe over the land tenure, land repossession act that we did through Mugabe, which saw the international community frowning upon our economy and putting sanctions, and our economy dropped to zero. Basically, we're a junk state. Medicines were not coming in, machinery was not coming in, and no country would give us loans. So companies closed, banks closed and went home. Inflation flew to the sky. But as of the last few years, we've seen young men in the country beginning to take advantage of the political unstable environment and creating new businessmen altogether, oil suppliers. We have billionaires now in Zimbabwe, millionaires. And slowly but surely, we're beginning to see development, roads, infrastructures.
So does it mean President Mnangagwa is doing good for his people? Is he one of the African leaders you look at and you're like, this is good?
Unfortunately, the plight of Mnangagwa is an inherited propaganda machinery of the West, which he inherited from Mugabe. And him being of the same political party, the Western world did not have confidence that he would actually be able to take the country and transform it. They had opted for a young man called Chamisa, who was an opposition leader, who was going to become another puppet government in the hand of the Western colonizer, to bring back the same white people whom Mugabe had taken land away from. But as I'm sitting right now, I have no doubt to neither criticize except to encourage him on the path of transformation that he has taken. The roads are being built, hospitals are being repaired, stadiums are being repaired, new parliament has just been completed, industries are being resuscitated. Right now, we're one of the biggest steel companies that is coming up, Manize. And as of 2 weeks ago, Kudakwashi Tagwirei has been put as a chairman, the billionaire, is put as a chairman of the land tenure issue, where they're now giving people the 99-year leases of a land. They've created a banking system, including an insurance from the government as the backup of the fund, so people can now take their piece of land, the whole country, which is the difference which we have in most of these urbanized, colonized cities, where only your home that is in town can be insurable with a bank and you can withdraw a loan. A grandmother sitting in Nakuru or in Kirinyaga in the hills there cannot take their land and walk up to the bank and say, can I have money for this? But 80% of Zimbabwe is mineable. And because of that, it means that every piece of land, there is stuff on the land, there is stuff underneath the land. So now we can be able to take our pieces of land and walk up to the government with the 99-year lease. We now walk up to the government and access funding for development. And this almost gives us a full food security strategy, a full mining rights ownership, and the possibilities of housing and infrastructure, poverty alleviation. Actually, the goal is to create a second world economy within Zimbabwe. And new cities are being built. We're actually looking at Mount Hamden, a tech city. That is next to the government, a whole brand new city. Because the infrastructure of these old cities were only built for a certain amount of people. Even look at Nairobi. It was not built for, how many million people in Nairobi here?
At the moment, 4 million.
4 million.
Yes.
But if you go to the architectures of Nairobi, they did not build a city for 4 million. Maybe they had in mind maybe 300,000 whites with maybe 600,000 maximum black people who will be working for them. But after independence, then all the influx. Then you complain to your government that your government is failing, our roads are bad, our sewages are not working, water is not enough, electricity is not enough. No, shut up. You black governments, start thinking.
Fix it.
The infrastructure that you are sitting on, the capacity was not built for you.
That's true.
They built Nairobi for the British Gulag, for themselves. And when you come into power, for crying out loud, build new cities, remove the stress from the small infrastructure and create a decentralized new Kenya, which can see new cities coming out on all the four corners of Kenya, and then let the people that are there have full infrastructure, services, and etc. where they are. Then you reduce the pressure on the. But this capital city migration, it almost destroyed Zimbabwe.
Okay, before we see how that has gone, you've talked about the development that is taking place, and we have actually seen your president attending summits in Russia. So, and you've just come out of the U.S. sanctions. Does it mean now Zimbabwe?
But he's still on sanctioning himself.
Yeah, he himself.
And a few other friends sanctions, yeah, they are still on sanctions.
So has your country then decided to look towards Russia as a better partner, or the new partner that sees the future for your country?
Madam, you are a woman, and if you have been abused by one man, when you are looking for the next man, you don't go back to the same man that abused you. And we don't want even to talk like that we're deciding to look, we have no option. The British government and the Anglo-Americans have been abusive for the past 100 years. We are in this mess. We fought with them to liberate us. And after we've liberated ourselves, they put us on sanctions. You leave us with no choice. You can't come to me and you beat me up, you rape my mother, you kill my family, and etc. And when I'm free, then you say, come back to me, I will help you to heal. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. We have no option. Let's look for new lovers. Let's look for new friends. And for crying out loud, China and Russia were friends during the liberation. They helped us to be where we are. So we don't apologize for looking east and looking to Russia.
How is that new love coming along?
Oh, well, as all relationships have, the relationship with the British was 100 years old. This one is hardly a few weeks old. Yeah. Can you just give us a chance? We don't have a child yet, but we are courting, and we've gone to a few restaurant meetings together, and we are sending each other very nice SMSs. And it looks like the relationship is going good, and we can see some new helicopters flying in, new buses coming in, and we can begin to feel the impact of new parliaments, and it's a new breeze of fresh air. For crying out loud, we don't have to speak English all the time. We're now learning Mandarin and learning Russian, and our friends are going for extended learning and education, masters and specialized training in these countries that have come out as our friends in the backdrop of the BRICS, which has given us a new lease of life.
Interesting to learn that. Do you feel then Africa as a whole should be part of BRICS, or how do we make decision as Africa? Because that's just a lot of the countries down there are leaning towards that. But when you come to East Africa, we are not there yet. When you go to Central Africa, we can see they're also leaning towards that side. So should Africa then decide it's about time?
When it comes to political selection or economic development, you don't go to a shop which only has one product like Milli-Mill, and then you have a supermarket. No. A supermarket must have a gallery of products. Yeah. Then you can pick that, you pick that, you pick that. So without necessarily lambasting the West altogether, without necessarily using the Russia and China as favorites. But sooner or later, in terms of the funding that we need to carry our basket and say, this money from IMF is good for this, but not more than that. BRICS is good for this. Russia is good for this. Japan is good for this. Belarus is good for this. Pakistani, India is giving us this. It gives us this variety, whereas in the midst of the British, your economy was so watertight that you could not buy weapons from this one. You could not buy machinery from that, because the contracts that you had, almost like the French companies, where even your taxes must go and sit in a French bank. Yeah. And when you go to borrow your own money on a high interest, then you wonder, how is this working? But under this new arrangement, there's some amount of sovereignty where our governments are now able to negotiate with the Americans as equal partners and buy what we want and sell what we want. I mean, the other day, Mnangagwa pulled a very interesting one. When Trump declared 30% tariffs on everything coming from Zimbabwe, Mnangagwa then responded with 0 tariffs on everything coming from America. And Trump looked stupid in his own insults. We don't have to retaliate. We're already coming from that mess of being threatened. So let life go on. But this, for me, creates a new dynamic where countries who were streamlined into one partner, we are now in a polygamous sort of space where we can select which man puts his spear in front of our door, and when the other one comes, please respect. If China can give us power, it's okay. If India can give us technology, it's okay. If China can give us machinery, and Russia can give us security support, and so it creates a very interesting dynamic. It will be very unfortunate when the Western world that we've been doing business with should walk up to Africa right now and they think that is business as usual. Now the table has turned.
Great. It's good that you've mentioned what happened with the sanctions in your country, because your neighbor, almost down there, South Africa, faced the same wrath. And actually for South Africa, it's worse because this fight has been on. The president has even gone to the White House, but still they don't seem to agree. What is your feeling about that? And why do you think Trump is hell-bent with South Africa on tariffs?
Interesting enough, South Africa's politics is multifaceted. Even the hypocrisy of America is exposed. Yeah. Because when South Africa was at war, America was part of the problem. But also, it must be mentioned, but we must speak softly, that the South African government is actually registered as a company on the American Stock Exchange with CEOs and chairmen, and that has a direct business interest of the Americans over the South African business too. When South Africa decides to cross swords with Israel over Gaza and the Palestinians, the Americans did not take that lightly, because Israel is a favorite of America. As such, the pressure to America, from America to South Africa, was actually hell-bent in the South Africa supporting Palestine. So you also have that dynamic. And thirdly, South Africa being one of the key financial hubs in the South, should America lose its grip on South Africa, they will have lost the entire of the Southern Hemisphere. That means the SADC countries will start migrating towards the East. And America cannot have that. And fourthly, South Africa is one of the biggest uranium producers in the South. Yeah. And as such, America could be scared that should this animal go off their hands, the beneficiation, the development, and the interest of that uranium from other countries that are actually nuclear bent could actually end up with South Africa as a key supplier of some of those products. From my own space, that can become one of the... And lastly, South Africa houses one of the greatest population of whites in the South. And you saw Trump the other day sending an aeroplane to pick up the white South Africans. I mean, why didn't you even send an aeroplane to pick up the blacks during apartheid? And now you show us your true colors. And I'm not surprised, because the other day we discovered that Trump himself, he's a German. So these are his cousins. So he came to redeem his cousins.
Do you think South Africa will bow to the pressure?
There is enough political pressure within the younger political spaces like Malema, but again, the corruption of money, the George Soros of this world, the Oppenheimers and the Stellenbosch mafias and the other globalists who have a direct interest in the business of South Africa, the banking and the insurance companies, they would play the games of gambling. Because even Ramaphosa himself, there was more than $2 billion that was found running around tables to install him as president, to an extent that there's actually a cry of the legitimacy of that president. But the financial houses were interested in him as a businessman to assume that position. So to ask a question like, will the Western world be so reluctant on their grip on South Africa? They are not in a hurry.
You don't think they can learn from what Burkina Faso has done?
Hence, the blackmail and propaganda around Burkina Faso continues. And if America had its way, like the way they did with Mugabe, when he took the land, they beat him so hard. So hard. We became a laughing stock of the whole world. Not because we're evil. Not because we killed any whites. No. It was to show any other African government that dare you touch land. And you try it as Kenya. You try it as Kenya. Take away land from these white people. You'll be on sanctions by tomorrow morning.
We're almost playing with fire at some point, I think, with the Batuk. There's an issue with Batuk.
You don't start. You don't, unless you're ready for what happened to us. And again, look at the fear. Look at the fear of sanctions and it all being held over your sovereignty and your land ownership.
So when you look at South Africa and then inequalities that are there, then what does it mean for the black person? Because we are seeing all these inequalities of saying we need the white people taken to where they are safe. And Trump is demanding that these white people actually are being targeted. Well, in real sense, it's not the truth. It's the vice versa. What does Ramaphosa do?
Hence I'm mentioning it as a hypocrisy. And dare you put on the blanket of illusion, a mirage of political expediency and freedom without economic empowerment, you're still a slave. Because at the end of the day, you can have your flag, you can have your votes, you can have your slogans, but you still have to go to the bank and beg from those that are running the economy. Therefore, true freedom is not just political freedom, it's also economic emancipation. And systems such as the BEE, the Black Economic Empowerment, the Broad-Based Economic Empowerment, BEE projects that Mandela and Mbeki had instituted, and Zuma, at the coming of Ramaphosa, all those things were turned upside down again. And the economy right now, the disparity between the rich and the poor is quite vast. The poor are really poor. And the rich are extremely rich to an extent that they want to create Cape Town to become a separate country altogether away from South Africa and as a hub of the neo-colonialistic white capital monopoly at its crux with Stellenbosch, this famous Stellenbosch, as a capital city of these mafias, financial mafias, who are negotiating business on behalf of their multinational companies who are in the foreign West.
But then what does it say if, for instance, South Africa is being targeted because they were supporting Palestine? What does it say about an independent country and choosing where to align?
Oh, now you're grown up now. You understand?
Yeah, technology is here.
Domestic policies have an international impact. That whatever decisions you're making, even if you claim to be sovereign and independent in your decisions, there's nothing called an independent decision. Your decisions must be monitored by the big brother. And you must play the game. And I got scared the other day.
Why?
Actually, to hear that the United Nations is coming right here. The moving office is here, and you are one of the biggest holders of foreign NGOs and multinational companies. I wonder if Kenya is not a hibernating ground and supervision of Africa through all this complex web of these international organizations that are actually monitoring Africa from Kenya.
I want to understand also, South Africa, again, is a member of BRICS. Do you think then they would have an opportunity of turning from America? Of course, it's a global leader, so maybe not. But what would the impact of being a member of BRICS do to the tariffs that they're facing?
It's tricky because BRICS started during the Zuma regime. And when Ramaphosa went into power, the motion was already in place. It must be mentioned that BRICS still remains a sore thumb on the American policy, particularly in its relationship with America.
Yeah.
If America had had its chance during Ramaphosa's time, I don't think South Africa would have been part of the BRICS. It's just my assumption. But now that it is there,
yeah,
it has not been given a fully fledged support and participation so that South Africa can become an active member fully to withdraw the benefits of BRICS and make them visible to the community. Right now it just remains as an idea that is in the air.
So there's nothing they're getting at the moment, you think?
They're a member there, but we cannot say we now have a BRICS bank in South Africa where loans are being distributed, where policies are being developed, where land is being repossessed or is being paid for, and BRICS is actively involved in the economic participation. You know, it is still an idea that is somewhere there, but I don't think as a country they've been able yet to plug. Zimbabwe has already applied to join.
Yeah.
But to plug in your USB cables and begin to withdraw the benefits of this concept of BRICS, as it were, I would love to see military exchange between our countries, agricultural exchanges, technological exchange. BRICS must be everywhere. We need a currency of the BRICS, for crying out loud, before even the African currency can come into space. We need passports for BRICS. We need free trade zones for BRICS. So it's one thing to always, as Africans, when we walk into tables with bigger boys, you always wait for the crumbs that fall from the table. I think we need to set up an agenda that if BRICS must work for us, what is it that we want from it? We want a BRICS university. We want a BRICS exchange technological platform. We want a BRICS satellite for our own propaganda and information sharing. We want a movement of people, exchange of research papers, and movement of Chinese and Russians into our institutions of learning, and taking our own stuff also and sending them that interaction to allow this fruit salad to become consumable. But I've lived in South Africa for more than 30 years, and I've not.
You've not felt the impacts.
I've not picked up the scent of BRICS within the economic participation space.
So do you think BRICS itself as an organization, so to say, is going to beat the Western idea of operating on the economic space?
A good idea implemented gently will fail. A bad idea implemented violently will succeed.
You want them violent?
No. When I'm saying violently, even in the midst of, when I'm saying using the word violent, I'm saying being intentional.
Yeah.
But again, it will push me back 2 steps back to say, when you set up the BRICS organization, how many legs does it have? How many hands does it have? How many eyes? Can it see? Can BRICS hear the demands and the requests of the people on the ground? Is BRICS willing to move away from the boardrooms and start walking to the dirty waters that people are drinking, the infrastructures that are dilapidated, the financial loans that people are in demand of, the industries that want to develop? Is it still okay in BRICS that China are a part of us, but you're still taking lithium from here and taking it to Gonzo. Since we're a family now, what do you lose by moving your factory into your BRICS friend like South Africa and then move the lithium from Zimbabwe and produce from here? So is it a cosmetic conversation around the financial support system, or this system will actually become an active participant in terms of transforming the economies, particularly of the third world countries, and industrialization of Africa, more than just becoming a member state of a global giant that is growing? And the financial systems of the West are well trained and experienced. BRICS is a young boy on the block, and I bet you she's less than 5 years old, and like any infant, she's still learning how to breastfeed. She's still trying to define her own name. Her teeth has not even come out. She has not bitten anything yet. If you give her hard meat, she might choke. So there is still a process of growth.
You think it would choke with big economies on board?
When I'm talking about choking, I'm saying, do we have the consolidation and coordination amongst itself, so that it can begin to become active, to say, okay, in India, this is what they need. In Russia, this is what they need. In South Africa, Brazil, and the rest of Africa, so that the program does not just become homogeneous. Our needs in the South and the needs in the Great North and the Bear in the Iceland, Russia does not need what South Africa needs. Yeah. And maybe India does not need what Brazil needs. The question is, can we come to the table as BRICS and say, I want this from you, you can take this from me. And maybe cut off the whole issue of money. Barter must come into space, because America was playing the doorkeeper through the US dollar. But now that we have a relationship, I would love to see machines coming from China and coal going to China. I would love to see uranium going to Russia and technologies coming to the South and beginning to equalize this imbalance. Some of these countries are almost 30, 40 years ahead of us in terms of technological development. So you cannot be an equal partner where you are technologically behind.
That makes a lot of sense. I hope the leaders of Africa who are very focused on that take that as a lesson. There are a leader in Africa who's he's now become a global icon or star, and especially for the African youth, is the Burkina Faso president at the moment. Of course, not elected democratically, but neither here nor there.
What is democracy? What is democracy?
Whatever they define as democracy, yes. So he took over via coup. So what is your take about Ibrahim Traore?
He has become a model. And I said it once, I'll say it again, even on your platform. Africa does not need democracy.
What do we need?
It's a smokescreen of lies, which allows imperialism and neocolonialism to continue. Africa needs dictators. Africa needs military dictators.
Military, not just any other dictator.
Military for security. Dictators in that they must dictate the right thing. We need people that are purposeful, cutting down the bureaucracy of democracy, and getting things done. If you walk up into your parliament right now, you'll have papers the size of this room of good ideas that have never been implemented, roads that have never been finished, buildings and hospitals that have not been repaired, but budget approved and voted. It's in the pipeline. It's in the pipeline. And in the midst of that pipeline, procurement, corruption, and preferential procurement, looting and stealing is happening. How does a minister who walks into a government with 50,000 shillings become a millionaire in 2 years with a salary that can't afford 3 pairs of shoes? Where does he get the money from? Any government minister who becomes a millionaire after being to a government office is a thief.
That's true. That's very true.
There's no millionaire who becomes a millionaire through government salaries. I make that statement loud and clear. So this whole concept of democracy, it's a facade, the entertainment for the poor, to think that by voting a president into power, they've actually put a man in control. We need people like Traore, who wakes up in the morning and says, I need 3,000 trucks of road equipment on the road by tomorrow. And 3 kilometers from Ghana into Burkina Faso, they are there by tomorrow. I need a hospital there. I need an aeroplane manufacturing industry there. And you need to give a president power, the one who can decide, not the one who can steal, the one who can decide and make a change. We look at our countries. Look at Kenya, almost 50 years of independence.
60.
Look
63, actually.
Look at Ghana, 63. Look at Zimbabwe, 40-something. And the roads that the colonialists built, we're even battling to repair them with potholes and etc. And you wonder, for the past 45 years, what are we doing? Here's the Minister of Roads, here's the Minister of Public Works, but they simply can't get things done. So what do you need? You need a leader. Boko has picked up the signal.
Yeah.
Walks up one morning and says, no more diamonds are living here. We are going to beneficiate themselves. You look at Mali, come on, no more. Uranium is going out. We're going to beneficiate it here. We need Ghana. We need Kenya to say, no more coffee lives here. We will make the chocolates from here. Belgium must order chocolates made in Kenya. You can't take our coffee and take it to Belgium and say, produced in Belgium. What the hell are you talking about? Who are you cheating here? You don't even have a single bush of a coffee tree in Belgium and say they are the producers of coffee. Who is lying to who? Britain cannot be the sole mother of determining the price of gold. You don't even have a quarry mine to bring me 2 or 3 dust of gold in your country. Where are you getting it from? Allowed.
Stealing.
The thuggery. That's why I called Britain, Pambe for me, the home of the Tomb Raiders when I discovered it in August. And by the way, next month, I'm going to be meeting up with Trory, with Mama Chombori and Lumumba and 1,000 Americans who have been given citizenship into Burkina Faso. Repatriation of the African children will happen in my lifetime. I will be there when we're talking about the one Africa. You countries who are progressive, Kenya in particular, Nigeria and South Africa, big-headed because your economies are doing very well. May God bless you. The rest of Africa will start marching behind young men such as Ibrahim Traoré. 3 countries are in: Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. Zimbabwe, Botswana, Namibia, and Zambia are opening their borders to each other. You, Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, I wish you can make this thing much more active. And if these 3 in the north, 4 in the south, 3 in the center, 4 plus 3 plus, we already have 13 countries that are already thinking in one space. This is where my head gets spinning. Why can't these presidents who are thinking in the same space call a conference? Call a conference together. Create a passport for us. Let's start moving with those that are moving. Yeah. Those that are busy dragging their feet behind with French, with the Portuguese and what, and monkeying around this agenda. We want a one Africa. 63 years later, still talking about a united Africa. The passports have been designed. They're there. The national anthem is there. The money has been designed. It's there. We lack the political power to implement these decisions. This is the bureaucracy that I'm talking about, which is a hamstring. And I hope the Gen Zs are listening to me. Don't just talk about African, Kenyan politics. You need to move your agenda beyond the borders of Kenya. Unfortunately, I was listening to you the other day. It feels bad that you are also now getting caught up in the South African mischief. The Luos and the Kikuyus, now even the Gen Zs are divided between the Luos. Back to this tribal nonsense.
We are working towards
the same mess
away.
that Raila and Kenyatta were fighting for years before you were even born. It has now resurfaced, even amongst the young people. I thought you were Gen Zs, you were progressive. You studied together, same universities, sharing notes. But all of a sudden, when old gods with their old theories of tribal divisions come amongst you, here the Luos are now on one side, the Maasais on the other side, the Kikuyus on the other side. The same devil that destroyed you is resurrected amongst yourselves. Wake up, Kenya.
We are getting awake.
Wake up, Kenya. I'm not amongst you, but I'm with you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. So do you think...
Regroup.
We are
regrouping. You had a very good thing happening there.
Yeah, we are regrouping for sure. Do you think Traoré is becoming a threat to African leaders?
He's not a threat.
Most African leaders.
He has become a model. And let me say this. Let me just sit up straight.
Yes, please.
Any African president who is coming into power in the next 3 to 4 to 5 years, I'm here with all our social media footprint and influence.
Yeah.
You tell me the one you want to become president, we will give them the agenda of the items we want them to attend to. We will not be recycling these old bags and old sacks of political thugs who go to parliament to sleep and fart in parliament. No. We need a new breed of thinkers who are only not looking for food and cannot see beyond their nose. We have an agenda to achieve the Africa that we need for all of us. Therefore, we need to start looking at Traoré as a model through which any African leader who is coming into power. I feel sorry for Biya and Cameroon, honestly.
I was going to come to the old people.
Years.
There's Biya and there's Alassane Ouattara, who is also 83. When you see these old leaders still stuck on that seat and still wanting to be president, what is the problem?
No, they don't want to be presidents.
What do they want?
They are funders.
And?
They want them in power. They are protected by those they've signed bilateral agreements with.
At 93?
Cameroon is being run by France. The president is sick. sitting in Cameroon for 8 months, 9 months in his hospital bed. The French embassy in Cameroon is running Cameroon. Shocked?
Not really.
But that's the reality.
Yeah.
The whole media of BIA is being run from France, from Paris. What do you expect? So in as much as you talk about African leaders want to hold on to power, come on, just open up your eyes a little bit.
Is it the same for Ivory Coast?
They don't.
Alassane Ouattara is 83.
There
were even demos last week, actually.
Who has an interest in his power? Is it the local people or the foreign multinational companies who have an agreement with him to do trades for so many years? Some of them got 30 years, some of them 99 years to do business with this guy. What makes you think that they'll be willing to watch and wait for you as a small little young opposition leader to come into power to overturn the treaties that they've signed? Are you not aware that in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, the French are lurking around looking for coups to push these guys out? Why? They want to renew the old contracts. This is business. Politics is a prostitute of economics. You talk about politics, they're talking about money and business, treaties, trade agreements, and whoever is in power must protect these trade agreements.
So is France fighting its way since they've been sent away from Mali, Niger, and
they didn't go. They just went next door.
They're now playing in the neighborhood.
They went to Cote d'Ivoire. Some of them are hiding in Guinea-Bissau. Some of them are hiding there, again regrouping. And stupid neighboring presidents, instead of seeing the light that is flicking a path in which you must walk, you still go to bed with the enemy. And anytime you see African leaders doing those funny little smiles, shaking the hands of the white men, you must get worried. Because the question is, did you sit in parliament and actually approve for him to go and do that, or is doing that at his own will? Some of those treaties that are being signed there, the parliament is not even aware of what's happening there. Did you pass the action for your Kenyan soldiers to go to Haiti?
Actually,
do you remember lifting your hands in parliament and agreeing for your brothers to go and die in Haiti?
I think my parliamentarians were surprised that they were going.
There you go. So was he acting out of the instruction of the government, or he was acting from his own heart? And that's democracy for you. You elect one person to make decisions on your behalf. And whether those decisions are constructive or destructive, only the international community can say it is in our interest.
Do you think the West Africa, because that's where Macron is stuck, will manage to get his... the ECOWAS bloc will manage to cut off Emmanuel Macron totally?
It's not a small snake to kill, because it looks like it was multi-heads. And every time you knock off one head, it comes out through the other head. But the first snap that I think will actually work is to get the people behind you. And your greatest enemies are those that were actually benefiting from the old regime, who are still inside, who will become the weakest link in the new system that is coming into power, because they had benefits. Imagine right now, just one example. You as young people, as Gen Z, you're tired of getting loans from the bank, la, 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 la. You agree as Gen Z and you say, let's open our own bank. Where all our salaries as Gen Zs, we put it in one bank. We can borrow money from each other and we run. Tell me that Standard Bank, Absa, and FNB will be smiling when they know that 10, 15 million of their clientele is moving this direction. You'll be assassinated. So tell me tomorrow morning another old man from Kirinyaga comes up with a herb that cures cancer. The pharmaceutical companies that have signed a treaty with your government to supply drugs with so many millions will be sitting smoking coffee and smoking cigars, enjoying themselves. Tell me, as I'm saying, until you young people understand the politics of power, the politics of economics, don't do politics if you don't have money. Consolidate yourselves into business units, buy shares, have money, capture your government with your money, then put each other in power with an agenda of what you want to achieve. But as long as foreigners and other multimillionaires in the country are putting their money behind the politicians, their agenda will continue to thrive, and you continue butchering each other on the streets.
Okay.
Politics is entertainment for the poor.
You've mentioned about consolidating finances, basically for politics, for the young people. But again, when we look at it on the other side, the most people who are unemployed are the youth. And this is not just a Kenyan thing, it's across Africa. What if the resources are not there? Then how else do they consolidate?
The resources are there. I've already given you one solution. The banning of the export of coffee creates a value chain of industries that creates employment. The minerals on their own, a ban on that, or an embargo on that we no longer take minerals in their raw form, we beneficiate them. Even if it is level 1 or level 2 or level 3, before you can even come to the final product at the end. Like in Zimbabwe, we produce lithium. Even if we cannot make the batteries, but allow us at least to dig it and wash it and separate other minerals, then we can ship the solution of lithium. You've already created a value chain. By the time you're saying let's produce maybe the cells only before assembly, we're now exporting cells. At another level, let's produce the batteries here. What's the use of digging all this ore? And by the way, the mischief, within the lithium and platinum ore, there are 14, 16 other minerals that are in there. Oh. And they only pay tax for the raw material at X amount. They take all this ore, put it on the ships into China. Guess what comes back? Only the lithium as batteries. What happens to the other 14 minerals?
Belongs to them now.
So this is where now you talk about externalization and money laundering on steroids. When multinational companies are literally digging ore in Africa, shipping it across their countries, and in the midst of that, they're making undeclared billions of dollars under the nostrils of our governments who are fast asleep. For crying out loud, half of them failed even matric, failed university. But because they can speak loudly as politicians, we gave them power. They don't even know mineralogy, basic mineralogy. How many minerals are found together with platinum? How many?
No, I'm sure not many of them would tell. But one of the leaders who's redefining this is Duma Boko of Botswana. With what he's doing, do you think then, especially these countries that have a lot of minerals, Congo, your country, Zambia, can come together and maybe, if not those countries, then maybe the whole of the continent put up a processing plant? Is it possible?
My view on that is that as we're moving towards this Africa that we want, we must be careful again not to fall into the same nationalism politics. We needed to start strategically positioning ourselves and say, where are these materials being found?
Yeah.
And what kind of support as neighboring countries can we give? Good example, Angola. There's oil. The whole sea there is full of oil, yeah. Unlimited resources. So here we are in Zimbabwe, buying our oil from Iraq and Russia, thousands of miles away from here. But right across the Zambezi, there's oil. The same budget you are using for shipping oil from there. As government, why not walk across there and develop that refinery? And then pump through Zambia or through Kasongula, one pipe on the Zambezi River. Angola is here, Zambia is here, Namibia is here, Botswana is here, Zimbabwe is here. Build a city, a new city, right there, and service each other. So look at 5 countries right now sitting on a table and say, you have oil, let's support you. Congo, you have maize and agricultural space, let's support you. Botswana, you have diamonds and jewelry, let's support you. Zimbabwe, you have this. It is this strategic conversation and the weakest link on African unity are our presidents. Because apparently when we become united, they'll lose power. So all of them are holding on to their seats. They don't want this thing to happen. Because some of them even claimed national budgets as their family businesses.
When you look at someone like Duma Boko, what is
thieves. Duma Boko?
Of Botswana, what is your feeling about how he's reshaping the country?
A young man full of vision, a professional lawyer.
Yes.
And I think he has put his finger on the pulse. I fear for him, the same way I fear for Traore. He's walking into a pool where De Beers, the biggest diamond miners in the world, who actually developed the Kimberley certificate, they're in Botswana. They are the ones who are responsible for removing Masisi and putting him into power. Now he's in power and he has turned against the very same system. I fear for his life.
Because they are the biggest contributors.
They are the biggest No, they won't assassinate him. They're the biggest contributors of tax in the country through the diamonds. Now watch the circus. So when Masisi was being chased out of office, they declared losses on their diamonds. We're not making money.
So no tax.
And tax collapsed. Civil servants were not paid. There was a revolt. People pushed Masisi out of office. Duma came in. And I'm glad he's aware of this. That when he walked into office, there was morale again, and De Beer started paying their taxes. 2 weeks ago, he came up talking again and says, you cannot tell us that you have no money, yet machines are rolling. Diamonds are moving out of the country.
Yeah.
And someone is sleeping on the job. So he's beginning to really tinker where it is itching. And I hope that the nation, particularly the neighboring nations, will begin to look into that, not only to support him in terms of diamonds, but Botswana needed to start diversifying its economy. I'm looking at the agricultural space and farming, cattle ranching, beautiful space. I'm also looking at their tourism and create a multifaceted sort of economy so that the collapse of the diamonds does not mean the collapse of the whole country. But now the biggest economy has been on the mining sector. So I think the diversification and the plurality of their economy would actually give them a better voice. And that creates new millionaires. Yeah. That creates new entrepreneurs. That creates new industries. That creates new employment. So it's a whole value chain recreation of wealth creation and tax increment that talks to the GDP. And I wish I could run a school for presidents and young presidents in Africa and begin to circumcise their minds towards the critical issues of African development. But yes, Boko is on the right path. He has my 150%, as I also had 150% support for Ruto during his campaign. But I can't say the same now. But as for Traore, I think is a model that any African leader who can hear me out there on the entire continent, if you aspire to be a president, please follow the path of Traore.
I will ask you a question about the Ghanaian president, John Mahama, and how you feel like, because he looks like he's fixing the nation. Is it also the same case, or is it a thing of guesswork?
Mahama is intelligent. He also inherited some problems from the previous government, the pollution of rivers, the mining, the Ghanaian, the deforestation of Ghana. I don't respect development that is destructive. I'm a naturalist and a conservationist in my own right. And I think his support, this is again the mischief between Nigeria and South Africa, which also duplicates itself in Ghana. Now, look, you have a young man here, 3 young men, who have their agenda and strategy progressive and clear. We all can see this works. Traore ships equipment from China and Russia through your borders. And you as president, you can see this young man is doing something. What does it take you, Mr. President, to walk up to the young man, make the cake bigger for everybody? If these 3 boys have opened up their borders, come on. Let's start moving and developing. And you'll be shocked that some of the big businesses in Ghana would benefit from this tripartite that is already in place. And some of the smaller businesses will benefit from the manufacturing and production that is happening in Ghana. It's a win-win solution. And I would actually want to challenge Mahama and say, man, it's not good enough to talk. It's time for doing. Consolidate your armies, consolidate your borders, consolidate your currencies. If right now Ghana can walk up to the tripartite and put his currency on the table, and we have 4 currencies that are now in unification, borders are free, passports are free, education, movement of people. Come on. It can only mean progress. But again, in bureaucracies, and in this democratic thing, he must now sit in front of a group of people and ask, can I do this? Can I not do this? If we had a dictator, you wake up in the morning and go and shake his brother's hands and say, let's go together. When your brother's house is on fire, you'll be a fool to watch it, especially if the wind is coming in your direction. Because when his house is done burning, you next.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you're speaking about that, because the people he would probably go asking this question is the ECOWAS members bloc. But then this ECOWAS chased away Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and now they have their Sahel bloc. What are we doing creating more? We have our East Africa already. Now we've added the SADC, we've added Sahel. So now what next?
These, again, for me, have been managed projects from the Western agenda, just like the African Union, was bugged by the Chinese who donated the building, only to find out it was now you have Sadiq and ask them the question, who is sponsoring? You come to ECOWAS, who is sponsoring? You come, so the devil is still amongst us to a large extent. But what I like about the Sahel model, it has an agenda of industrialization in it, which for me, even the issue of him converting the holidays for the children as military training and skills development, look at that, small initiative, but look at the impact of developing a disciplined group of young people instead of them smoking, drinking and running the streets of town, causing chaos. During holidays, take them somewhere and teach them some skills, how to make pavings, how to follow order. And for me, the development of a continent leaves no one behind. We take our children with us. We take our mothers with us, our disabled with us. We take the whole community in this development program. And this unification must not become cosmetic. Hence, the issue of the one Africa currency becomes key, because at least it allows the free movement of goods around the continent. And with one passport, one stock exchange, one currency, we'll be talking about one army. For crying out loud. Right now, the hijackers of ships in Somalia and our borders are not porous, the whole of Africa. So what we lose by just saying all the army generals come together, choose one amongst yourself, protect the borders of Africa, point your guns that way.
Not, you know what?
The wars in Congo would stop overnight. But the wars in Sudan will stop overnight.
I'll come to the wars so that I don't lose my thought on that. Sahel, whatever unions, we have the African Union, which perhaps does, not even perhaps, they won't accept Sahel simply because they're not within.
You are raising,
what happens?
You are raising an issue that would turn my stomach upside down. When last did Africa bite anything?
I'm not sure.
Tell me a piece of meat or an apple that was ever bitten by African Union. Show me one little thing that African Union has done. Show me one. For research paper, I'll allow you to Google. Show me one project that was delivered by African Union, except taking pictures, of course.
The building. Okay, it wasn't done by African Union.
Show me one ball. Show me one bank. Show me one school. Show me one road. A clinic that was built by African Union. Show me one.
So it's being funded just...
That's a cosmetic, diplomatic entertainment center for diplomatic oligarchy, where people just sit around and waffle and muffle, saying nothing. People like Farke, useless pieces of French furniture sitting on our offices, accomplishing nothing. I challenged Lumumba to join the Ochihombori and try and transform that thing. But the way African Union is structured, it's not a democratic institution. It's only the presidents of Africa who choose each other as to who must run it. What do you expect? If they open up African Union, that we as Africans can choose what we want, we'll put Trori the overnight.
It will be a problem.
We'll put Trori the overnight against their will. But who says we like them? Because they don't like us also. But don't lie and say you're running a democratic system when in fact you're running an oppressive system that's not delivering the goods. We know that African Union is a babe of United Nations, intended just to become a hamstring of African progress. Who cares about it?
Do you think there would be a division if we, you see the way we have seen now the Sahel region formed from the countries that have come from coups. Do you think we'll have more coups? And then with more coups, then will there be a division in the African Union?
It's already there, ideologically, because the old blocs that want to maintain their diplomatic comfort zones and the young countries that are coming up now. So what are they going to do if 10, 15, 20 other countries have coups? So you keep on losing members. You lost 3 now. So you lose 4, you lose 5, you lose 6. What are you going to end up with? There's a big white elephant that is an ideology of what Africa needs to look like for 63 years. You're holding this vision that you can't implement. What stops African Union from implementing it? What stops you? Do you need to wait for Burkina Faso and the Sahel states to rebel against you before you do that? Now what they are doing, that's part of your mandate. That's what you should have done in the first place. You have it on black and white. To unite Africa. It's part of your mandate, why you were formed in 1963, and Haile Selassie gave you that piece of land. Nyerere was there, Kambarage, and Nkrumah was there. What was the agenda for the African Union? And when Traore implements that, it's become irrelevant. Where are you missing it? Where are you missing it? How do you get lost in a roundabout? There's no corner here. the very agenda Traore is achieving. That's your mandate for existence. You are a midwife, your business is to deliver a child. You are sitting there having coffee, and a sub next to you delivers the child, and you want to write rules what he must do. Get off your butt.
It's a wow, interesting. You have talked, I think one of their key businesses has been saying about silencing the guns across Africa, which unfortunately they are getting what? Guns. Ending the wars in Sudan, ending the war in Congo, between Congo, Rwanda, and it's not happening. So why are we having these wars and what will happen?
We're not here for a circus. You cannot be silencing wars for 63 years and the guns are still blazing to date. You have become an infiltration of the United Nations carrying guns into war-torn zones and coming out with minerals. And is that silencing guns?
Who is carrying the guns?
The same United Nations. The same African Union is supervising the mischief happening in Congo for how many years? Here, right underneath your nostrils. Here. Sudan. Here. Eritrea. Here. Central Africa. Here. Boko Haram. Here. And Nigeria talks about coups and etc. You can't even fix your own house. You can't fix your own house. And you're talking about even him, the president of Nigeria, who wants to know how he got into power. Did he win those elections?
There was a lot of
is that democracy? So who has an interest in his presidency? So this whole thing of democracy is just a system that can be manipulated. It can be bought. It's a prostitute of capitalism.
So it's the West that are pushing for these wars.
Why would they not push for them? Because wars are business. We sell weapons, madam. That's what keeps some of the economies of the world alive. The biggest economy of this world is America. And the biggest business on the face of the world is manufacturing of guns and equipment for war, nuclear and technology. And America is the biggest on that. So every time there's a war, there's someone walking to the bank to cash a check, to buy more rifles, to buy more cannons, buy more choppers. Ukraine, for example, was costing them more than $2 billion a day. Whose money? Whose equipment? Which companies were recording? Is that not BlackRock and other American Rockefeller companies that were busy supplying the weapons? All their business is to supply the weapons. America says they need them to go for war. The American Congress, we need 16 billion approved. Where to? To this company, to that company, supply the guns, ship them in and etc. Can't you see business? You think you can shoot a bullet for free? The bullet costs money. The bullet costs money. Yeah. So when you go to war, the question is who pays for that bullet? Who pays for the gun? Who pays for the uniform? Who pays for the binoculars? Who pays for the tablets? Who pays for the food? Who pays for logistics? Who pays for satellites? Who?
So they're taking African resources, giving their guns and killing in addition.
Now finally you're home. You're home. And as long as you're fighting, then they come here and they put a blockade, chase people all away. We call them refugees. The empty piece of land, they start mining. And then they put an airstrip there. They come in and shipping. Right in the midst of Congo, in the jungles there, the aeroplanes landing in and out from China to Europe, etc., taking minerals raw as they are, past the immigration. No customs, nothing. Free for all, as long as the people are not home and the ground is available. As guns are coming in front, mining equipment is behind. First thing they do is to make an airstrip. They start digging, loading up the aeroplanes and going. No customs, no what. Congo is poor. But how many aeroplanes are flying past their own borders, unsupervised, uncustomed, untaxed? And you talk about poverty, you talk about African Union being the silence of guns, and you tell me they don't know what I know. You tell me they don't know what I know.
The African leaders facilitating this, what's their benefit?
Very good question.
I mean, the president of Congo, the president of Rwanda.
President of South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he sends his army into South Africa, from South Africa to go to Congo. To do what? To protect Congo from who? No. South African companies who were mining in Congo, the multinational companies mining in Congo, make a call to Ramaphosa, who is a shareholder on these companies that are mining in Congo. Ramaphosa talks to his government and organizes an army to go to Congo. To what? Protect Congolese? Hell no. To protect their miners and their industries that are looting in Congo. And he's a member of Africa Union. Sitting next to Kagame, sitting next to Museveni, sitting next to Mnangagwa, and etc. And when they look at each other in the eye, tell me they don't know the truth. Do they don't know what I know?
I can't speak for them. But you've mentioned why South Africa will send their forces. Servicemen.
Zimbabwe did the same during Mugabe.
Kenya sent our servicemen to Congo, and the communication to us was that we are going for a peacekeeping mission. Are you telling me that Kenyans were not going to peacekeep?
When they are peacekeeping and you find diamonds on the ground, do you keep peace? If you are looting from the coffers of the government here, and you get there where it's free for all, when those aeroplanes are flying in and out, are they carrying nothing? I can't say much. But Rwanda, for example, how do you build a country and economy if the benefits of Congo's minerals did not flow into Rwanda on a porous border between you and your neighboring country that is ungovernable? We cannot discount it. I can look Kagame in the eye and tell him that half of the wealth that has built Rwanda are minerals that are coming from Congo. And the benefit has been that on the border between Rwanda and Congo, Congo has not been able to manage that border very well. Diamonds, emeralds, minerals. And it was a gateway. And where people are going through, then Kagame will be charging taxes. He was not robbing. He was doing business as business. But there was a benefits from war.
We look at Kagame as one of the most forward-thinking African presidents.
I take nothing away from him. And I love the strategy that he used. Focus at your people. Focus on developing a country and create a model out of that. But there's no way Kagame can sleep at night when guns are blazing next door as if he knows nothing about it. If there is anyone who knows the war in Congo better than all of us, two men I can give to you, Museveni and Kagame. And if those two people can sit down together and really discuss the peace in Congo, I think there's a solution right there. They share the same ethnic grounds of being Hutus and of being Tutsis from Uganda to Congo, to Burundi, to Rwanda. That whole concept of the Tutsis and the politics that is involved into it. And of course, the resuscitation of the Tutsi empire, and this whole neolite, our nose are sharper than yours, same little rubbish, childish politics of ethnic cleansing and etc. But you want these people that you call Tutsis that are in Congo, they've been here for thousands of years. Which country do they belong to? Because the white man put a line between you and your neighbor, now you belong to Congo, you belong to Rwanda. So before these lines were put, where did we belong to? So again, borders become a sense of war. Because if you remove these borders, people have been living across this vast expanse without necessarily having to bother about nationality. There are Tutsis in Uganda. There are Tutsis in Burundi. There are Tutsis in Congo. There are Tutsis in Rwanda. There's no reason for us to be talking Rwanda, Uganda. Let's talk about the Tutsi geographical location from where they've been living. They must go home. Home where?
That's all they know as home.
So if you're in Congo, you find a Tutsi says, go home. Go home where? My grandfather's grave is here. My great-grandfather is here. So I must go home where? Because I have a different passport. More people like you are across the river. So we also have this neo-colonialistic politics that has infiltrated into the midst of soberness of thinking. We don't need to massage that or pontificate such myopic ways of thinking. There's a bigger agenda here, the unification of Africa. And we cannot sit here in 2025 and legitimize what the Berlin Conference did. And by legitimizing the Berlin Conference, we're legitimizing our own poverty.
Yeah.
And how dare, as Africans, we sit around and say, I'm a president of Rwanda, I'm a president of Zimbabwe, I'm a president of Kenya. Are you not hearing yourself? You're a president of Kenya according to who? According to who? To Berlin Conference. So here we have all this bunch of African presidents looking smart in ties on one country that I call Africa, in the provinces that you still call countries. The unification of Africa has to do with the transformation of the mind, to know who we are, where we come from, what are we together. And show me a nice, beautiful day when you walk from here to Luoland Show me a line where you can go and draw and say, the Kikuyus stop here. The Luos start here. The Maasai stop here. The Tanzanian starts here. Tanzania stops here. Malawi starts here. Show me. There's no line. Our cultures seamlessly, like the shades of a rainbow, feed into each other, each culture into another. It is this neo-colonialistic mind that put lines in our minds that creates our political misunderstanding amongst each other.
Makes a lot of sense. And I think that Berlin conference, somehow we have to fight what it created today. You've talked about Kagame and Museveni being the people who can bring unity between, end the war basically, between Congo and Rwanda.
The Congo man himself, what's his name?
Felix Tshisekedi, yes. So looking at it, what I find very interesting and intriguing at the same time is that President Trump is the one who has managed to put these men together and they have agreed to end the war. Why is...
There's no agreement.
No. Why is it, as far as we know, the last communication was that they have agreed with Trump to end it. Why?
Trump has just moved in military equipment into the hands of Tshisekedi to push out all other foreign miners in the country. And he can mine himself for the benefit of America. And Tshisekedi must agree with that arrangement. So it pushes out Museveni, pushes out Kagame, and wipes out M13 and give America another dominance over the Congolese economy in simple terms. So don't talk about agreements.
So it's basically a push.
He has a capacitated Tshisekedi military-wise to push away those that have been mining in the periphery of the Congolese government. That's all.
So basically...
it's almost like dogs are eating, and the bigger dog comes. The boof! And all the small little dogs must disappear into thin air, and the big dog must eat with satisfaction. When has America donated anything to anybody? Strike a deal with who? When you look in the face of Trump, does he look like a peaceful man? Does he look like a peaceful man?
Well, he's trying to bring peace in the world, I think. You don't believe that?
Don't get me to say things that I will regret here.
You
don't
think he's peaceful?
Don't get me to say things. Trump is a businessman.
Yeah.
That's all.
Not a peaceful businessman.
He's a businessman, a looter, a chancer, a waffler, a capitalist of the highest order, the echelon, the mastermind and the driver of the train of capitalism in the West and the rest of the world. His business is the bottom dollar. And in his own words, without mixing terms, my business of coming back into power is to make America great again, not make Congo great. So when a man who wants to make America great again, and he comes to your country, is he coming for you or is he coming for himself?
Interests.
So you always hear about U.S. interests, U.S. interests. So ask Tshisekedi, what are your interests? America is clear. They have their interests. So this is the poor part of African leadership, where other people have an agenda for you. Africa Union. The rest of the world has an agenda for you. But you don't have an agenda for yourself.
Now that you're saying, of course, we all know Trump is a businessman anyway, and at least he makes his interests clear. He doesn't even hide it. Do you think Africa as a whole understands or has an idea of how to relate with Trump in terms of interests?
Weaknesses and poverty breeds inferiority. Understanding is another thing. Challenging is another thing. The visit of Ramaphosa to South Africa and the humiliation is very strategic. If Trump can do this to one of the largest economies of the world, particularly in Africa, and can lie in front of the whole world with pictures,
video evidence,
that are from Congo, and blame it on Ramaphosa, create a genocide, plus an airlifting of his brothers to create an impression, to achieve a political... Now, if he can do that to Ramaphosa, okay, try it, Kagame, try it, Ruto, try it. This for me is a typical, you would find this writing in the book, How to Make an African Christian. The lynching, the techniques of the clans, the white supremacists, the sugarcane owners of Mississippi and the Deep South. How to instill fear in the minds of the Africans. How do you do? Find the strongest amongst them. Bring him to a public spectacle. Put horses on the both sides and pull him apart. Rip his intestines. Feed him to the dogs. And then all of them will fear. And you can manage them. Zelensky on the washing line. Ramaphosa on the washing line. Liberian president, oh, where did you learn that English? Maybe I'm saying things that you don't know. But when you look into these things and you look at them and say, but what circus? Oh, but then I love Russia. First time. I'm not coming to Washington.
Yeah.
Let's meet in Alaska. Now that's power. I'm not coming to you. You come to me. Now that's chess. So weaknesses.
You think Africa could play that to Trump at any time?
In unity we can. In unity we can. In isolation we can't.
Wow. Haven't actually thought about, that's why he wanted to humiliate Ramaphosa, but that's a very new perspective. When you look at Africa as a continent, and basically let's now start with Kenya. Of course, they are saying they want to move the UN offices to Nairobi. Should we be scared?
No, you are the Gen Zs. You know everything. So tell me what you think. But if you need to find out not only when they are coming, you need also to find out the why they are coming. The reasons that they put out there are not legitimate. I don't think that's true. What I read was that the rents in New York are too high, and Brussels, they are no longer affordable. So they are looking for a venue where it's affordable. Now, it's a typical woman in her beauty. She was walking and running the streets. Now she feels she's getting useless. And she wants a husband to marry her. When she no longer has either ovaries, and now she wants a husband. But no, we don't want you because you cannot afford where you're coming from. No. We wanted you at your peak, and even coming up here, what benefit is it? Does that give us a seat on the council of the same union that we are now housing here? Maybe you as young people in Kenya, you need to visit that conversation and ask the United Nations publicly, why are you coming? What are the advantages? What are the benefits? Or else, you are inviting a venomous serpent into your bed. And when he decides to eat your chickens, you'll be the first ones to lose.
Kenyans are basically scared of the housing rates because, of course, when they come, the rates go higher, especially if you're close enough to where the offices will be.
Those are the issues that you need to consider. That they are coming here. Are they coming in to invest, to harvest? And by the way, you being Kenya, United Nations being here, they come in with all their fleece and all their rubbish and all their gems and their worms that are wiggling in the human rights, constitutionalism, and democracy. Kenya must become the epitome of the implementation of all these United Nations Charter agreements, from women's sterilization to LGBTQ, to what. You must become the model through which the whole of Africa must now follow on the pathway of Kenya. Are you ready for that? Are you ready to become a gay capital of the world? Are you ready for that? Of course, your policies already agreed to that, paving the way for the United Nations to come here. You as Gen Zs, your daughter, your son, will bring a man as a husband, and will bring a woman as a husband. Get ready. The seeds you are planting now, you will harvest. Mark my words, I will still be here with you.
Okay, I think for Kenya, usually we describe it as a non-issue.
Oh, wait.
Usually.
Wait until the headquarters are here.
Okay.
And the rallies will be done here. Wait until the whole of Brazil and the rest of the world comes to celebrate here. Wait, it will be here.
Okay. Another question. Kenya became a non-NATO ally sometimes last year.
Became a what?
Non-NATO ally. And now the U.S. Senate is considering that since our president went to China and in one of the meetings saying that we are co-creators of the new world order, that didn't sit well with the U.S. perhaps, because people are saying that could be the reason why then our relationship is being reviewed. Well, what is your take on that?
It's a carrot and a donkey, where is a Zelensky complex, where you dangle this NATO member thing in front of you while they're busy whipping you on the back. It's a non-starter. And Kenya must not even be excited in those conversations. You've just finished talking to me about the United Africa Union. This isolate, divide and rule concept, you can't see it at play. But all of a sudden Kenya is isolated into a special boy who can have a certain seat on the Security Council in the United Nations, what and what, so that you can feel like our economy is doing well and our policies are in order. So you think that by becoming better and nicer to a white man, you become better than the rest of us.
No, maybe some financing comes in, so
they have no respect.
Isn't it a plus to the country?
So what happened? So we mention one statement and you lose all the credibility over one statement. If it was legitimate, why doesn't it hold? But again, in the same mindset of South Africa, thinking that when they become nicer to the white people, their economy will become better. But no, you're being managed. You're being managed. And we need to start thinking like soldiers and say an injury to one is an injury to all. We are not leaving any soldier behind. And Kenya must not think that it can run ahead of all of us and have a good relationship there and all of us are behind so that you can get on top of the mountain and put your small little flag as Kenya and say, I know we are athletes, of course. We are one of the fastest in the world. But on this political race, you want to run fast, run alone. You want to run far, let's run together. Refuse if they should want to offer you that seat. And say, if we are not sitting, I'm not sitting. That's leadership. Do
you think we have leaders who do that? Not just in Kenya,
basically across
Africa.
We're waiting for you. We're waiting for you. That's why we are talking. We're not wasting time. We're planting seeds, planting an agenda in the minds of the young people to transform their thinking, creating a new breed of leaders who will understand the issues that are at stake to drive into the Africa that we want. We cannot think that what brought us here will take us there. The quality of our politics and economics and education, which has brought us here, is not good enough to take us across this river to where we are going now into the global village. We totally need a new architecture of thought patterns, strategic thinkers, bankers, insurers, agricultural economists, educators, entertainers. We need an Africa league for ourselves, for soccer, for our indigenous games, and etc. We need a big pharmaceutical company in Africa to deal with our diseases, research centers for mosquitoes, and etc. Purifications of water, chemicals, and etc. We have our own problems that are right here. But as long as the solutions are coming from outside, we cannot think that we're going anywhere. And our leaders and you being professional, having been trained through this educational process, you can't do better than the teachers that taught you.
Yeah.
And for you to think that you'll use the same system that oppressed you to liberate you, it's an illusion.
What's your definition of the true north for Africa? Where is our North Star?
Ubuntu. I am, because we are. The knowledge of self. Sawubona means I see you. And I see those that are with you. I see myself in you. And your welfare is my welfare. My children are your children. Your land is my land. The water that I'm drinking there, you're also going to be drinking from it. So I will not poison it. Because after I'm gone, you're also coming to drink there. Custodians of each other's welfare. I pity if all African governments right now know that there's no single day for the past 100 years where guns have not blazed in Congo. And those are our brothers. Those are our sisters. Give me power. Give me 5,000 soldiers or 10,000 soldiers from every African country, and we'll walk into Congo. Must we wait for America? Must we wait for someone 5,000 kilometers away, our own colonial slave importer, to come and become our security officer of our resources? When Rwanda is here, Zambia is here, Zimbabwe is here, Kenya is here, and we wait for help from across the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean. Something must be fundamentally wrong with us as Africans. What's our true north? If my brother has not eaten, I have not eaten also. And if I'm eating, in my culture, we never allow a stranger to walk past a plate of food. We always extend. We are eating over here. And when someone has died, we don't take a trip and plan a wedding next door. We cancel our wedding arrangements. We pack up our bags, load up our food and our beans and our chickens, we put in our baskets, and we walk to our neighbors. We cry together. We bury together. And after we're done burying, we make an announcement. Next week, please, let's come and let's wipe our tears while we're eating on the other side. You're asking for the true north? The true north is when I see you walking past my house. I open up my doors, the sun has gone down. Please come and rest for a while. And you continue your journey tomorrow. You ask for the true north? When I walk in your house, the first thing you give me is a glass of water to drink. I don't know how far you've traveled. Wash up your throat and relax for yourself. If I have 2 jackets, can you have one for yourself? If your cattle have died, please take 1. Take 2, go and plow. When they've given birth, remain with the calves. Bring back my old ones. This social coherence, sharing, eating, dancing together. The rhythm of the African culture flows in our blood. And when we hear the drum, our hearts are joined past our differences, and we celebrate each other in each other.
Beautiful. Ubuntu, basically, that's it. Give me a list of 5 African leaders you think would lead us to that destination at the moment.
I'll be fascinating in my submission. I won't give you names. I'll give you systems. I'll give him Swati as the first one, in terms of the system of royalty.
Yes.
The system of royalty. Less the problems on the left and right, but to have that royal, just like the British, the center must hold. But that becomes the custodian of culture. I would give you Mugabe, land policies and land tenure. Don't apologize over the ownership of land. Please.
Very nice to hear that.
I'll give you Kagame, develop your spaces, sweep your cities, plant trees. You as president, sweep your cities. Less the problems on the left, on the remember, take note, everyone I'm giving you has plus and minuses. Yeah. I'm just giving you what I wish to see every African president do. Fix your cities. You cannot be thinking of going to other countries for medicines and etc. and admire other cities as if you don't have enough plantations in your own markets road here to plant trees and develop your cities. I like the Kagame model in that. I'll give you Magufuli. Be resolute. Be clear. Even in the midst of oppression and division, focus and stand your ground. Avoid unnecessary expenditures. Cut down on useless ministries that are just draining the economy. Focus at the core business of what the government must do. I'll give you Boko and Traore. I put them in the same room. Cut down the ties with the Western economies. Invest in your own people. I'll give you the Namibian one. Mama Nandi.
Yes.
Amen. Treat them as they treat you. Free education and external policies, the immigration issues. If they say they need 5,000, charge them 5,000 also. If they say they need you to write a book of who is your mother and what they want, do exactly to them. I like that. And be sensitive to women's issues. And when they wanted to organize vaccination for the women in Namibia, she said, oops, no. We have enough land here to have more, to multiply our population by 30, by 40. Some of the policies don't make sense. So we don't need to respect that. So I've given you 6. Who can I give you as the last one? I'll give you Mnangagwa again, just to be a bit
selfish for your country to have 2.
Yeah, I'll give 2, and I do so very deliberately to give you the resilience in the midst of a back foot of sanctions. Incite a new generation of thinking. Develop, invest in your own people to patronize your own government. Close your ears to the external noises. Focus at the task at hand and rekindle, even when you are being called names. Keep on doing what you know must work and get that job done. I couldn't find another president who has survived that kind of sanction space as he has. And if you are walking in the footsteps of your other leaders, beautiful part, do not always reinvent the wheel. Implement the plans that are there and build on that and go forward. I like that about Mnangagwa, which is very strong. When you look at South African politics, look at all your Ruto, Moi, Kibaki, the continuity of leadership in terms of agenda. You find that this one comes, he wants to cut off the ties and say, no more of that. We're now starting a whole new thing here. This one comes up. I mean, here is Ruto, for example, building a church in the State House. What makes you think that when the next president is Muslim, he would want that church there? Then you must either convert it into a mosque or push it into something else. It is this kind of, but yes, it's political, because some people will be sympathetic, especially the Christians, who will be saying, oh, well, he's doing something, God will bless him, lala. But you're not looking beyond one regime. You're building white elephants that are useless. But for Mnangagwa to have been picked up the blueprint of the projects that were on standby from the previous president and get into power and immediately implement those projects, all the projects and success stories we can talk about are in the backdrop of what was already on the table. And when African presidents give you 5, I'll give you Zimbabwe, I'll give you 2. And for the simple reason of the resilience. Look into the eyes of your people and activate that resilience. Of course, have the oratory of Ruto and who else can I pick up on?
I think we can add one from Kenya. President Kibaki. Educate your people.
Yeah. Not
a good thing.
But even then, the free education concept must be implemented and fully. I still know University of Kenya, for example, is filing for bankruptcy very soon for whatever reason. And but again, on that one, it's the politicians that are polluting it, because they're allowing their cousins and brothers to study for free there, and they don't want to pay school fees. But they're looting the government, but they don't want to pay school fees. So it's quite a mischievous kind of space. But yes, Kibaki, educate your people, and I think that's a good landing. That's a good landing. Ramaphosa, negotiating skills here and there. Hakainde, bury your other presidents. When they die outside of the country, bring them back and bury them.
Wow, very interesting. You have to highlight that.
No, but it's still pending. So,
but the court decided, so maybe.
No, she appealed.
Oh, she's appealed?
Yeah, appealed again. So it's dragging in court again.
I think we just, too much for...
But on that one, let me make a declaration also from my desk. Every African president must sign a document. Once you take public office, you are public property. Full stop. If you don't want to become public property, stay at home. You are our national asset. When you die, we will bury you the way we want to bury you. You belong to us. We don't belong to you.
Very interesting. Scandal that was. You mentioned that you're going to meet President of Burkina Faso, Traore. Out of curiosity, what's the first question you ask the guy and why?
Me asking the question?
Yes.
Hey, asking me a deep question. The first question I'll ask him is, how can we duplicate the model of Burkina Faso? And what strategies can you put in place to overthrow our governments? And what support is he willing to give? Should another young man take his model? Is he available? Some of the presidents we have are pieces of furniture that belong to the fire. They are trophies of colonization. We don't need them. In fact, funerals will be a blessing to some of them, because they're neither doing us good, nor are we benefiting anything from them. Some of them need to die for Africa to go forward.
That's very true.
So my comment is that if right now we can walk around any of the African spaces and we find a young man who wants to implement what you're doing, what kind of military support will you give as Burkina Faso, and risk your reputation with the rest of the world? But we know that we start building the Africa that we want. I'm ready to go for war, by the way. I'm ready.
Interesting question, actually.
I'm ready.
I hope he gives you an answer to that.
I'd rather die at war than live in poverty and in sorry state. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees.
Beautiful. It's been a very interesting conversation, very engaging. Loved every moment of it. I've learned so much. Totally appreciate it. I'm trying to remember the first name, Mara-rah. I got it, yeah. Mara-rah Maponga. Thank you so much for coming through to Alpha House. We appreciate you, and you're always welcome. When you meet Traore, pass our regards. Tell him Kenya, he's adored. And you know, in Kenya, for you to know you've made it, there's a lot of artwork in the public matatu systems that have him, and that means he's influencing a culture.
So I've not made it there yet.
When they put you, I will tell you have made it in Kenya. The matatus are usually the evidence.
The taxis, yeah. All right.
Yeah. So pass our love to him, and karibu tena.
To not end.
Maybe your closing remarks to Africans who are watching you, because we are watched across.
Subscribe to this channel, and I hope that while you are watching these programs on Alpha House, give us your commentary, send us your questions, recommend other speakers that you want to come on these platforms. And from wherever you are, if you have pieces of news of what is happening in your space, positive news that you think that the Africa House could actually benefit from, I think they will insert the numbers at the bottom here of the screen. Please send us those videos of data and information, the dams that are being built in your place, the agricultural projects that are happening, and especially what are you doing as an African to build the Africa that you want. And I think we can flood this media space with positive contributions. Each one of us in our corner. Your country is a province. Our country is Africa.
Fantastic. He took my words of ending the show. And thank you so much for watching. We will catch you on the next episode.